All right, Tuesday night, Raj is in the house. We got a lot of Niners stuff to get to. We're only a couple weeks before the draft. Who are the Niners going to pick? And could they pick a corner at number 11? We discuss it all right now. It's the Kreuger Show. Let's go. Come on aboard. All right, welcome to the Kreuger Show Tuesday night. Raj is in the house. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for jumping in. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. My good friend Anthony Catania is there at 831-521-5264. And today, our live stream is sponsored by LearnKey. LearnKey's Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. It doesn't matter what field you're interested in. It could be interested in, I should say. It could be IT, cybersecurity, marketing. They offer over 30 different certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. They've been in business for 37 years, have over 200,000 students, and over 100 graduates every month are placed in well-paying jobs. And while you're leveling up your career, LearnKey's Upskill Academy with LearnKey's Upskill Academy, why not test your football knowledge? That's right. We're teaming up with LearnKey for an April NFL draft contest where you can win a $100 Visa gift card if you can predict the top 12 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. It's totally free to enter. Just fill out the Google form linked in the description below with your predictions for picks 1 through 12. Entries will be graded on how many player correct to pick matches you get. First place gets a $100 Visa gift card. Second place, a $50 Visa gift card. But plus, both winners get to come on the Krug Show during draft weekend. So hit that link, lock in your draft board, and let's see who really knows their draft. Good luck, and big thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academy for sponsoring this contest. Big fans of all of our sponsors, and the links are in the description below. All right, we're off and running. The Niner draft plan. Could they draft a corner in the first round? And Raj, I bring this up because if you look at what's out there as far as I'm going to share the screen here. This is the mock consensus. Okay. So Jedi Barron has been mocked the most to the Niners recently, 15% of the mock drafts, the corner from Texas. Then Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, then Armand Membu, then Kelvin Banks, then Shamar Stewart from A&M, tied with Will Johnson. So outside of the three offensive linemen, both corners, Jedi Barron and Will Johnson, are more often mocked to the Niners than any of the D linemen. Mikael Williams, Mike Green, Derek Harmon, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan. You've seen all the names, but what do you think? Are the Niners going to go corner at 11? Do you see a scenario that they go corner?
I mean, I understand. No, I understand why the consensus is shifting to that. It's like the popular pick in mock drafts now, because I feel like at 11, that might be the best available player. So I feel like, people that are doing these mock drafts are saying, the 49ers are going to go with best available, because if you look at that list, Armand Membu, he might be gone. Kelvin Banks maybe might be gone. Mason Graham might be drafted by that point. So I feel like because of that, and also the fact that this is a very heavily defensive line talented draft, like there's talent. You could probably get a guy that's really good in the second round, maybe not as good as a Walter Nolan, but pretty damn good. I feel like that's why the consensus is, hey, 49ers might just take a cornerback. But to me, I don't see it happening. I think it's more of a luxury for the 49ers to take a cornerback at 11. If you look at it, they got Renardo Green and they got Diamante Lenore. And I read the article earlier, and a lot of it is because people are saying, they got to replace Charvarius Ward. The 49ers already replaced Charvarius Ward last year with Renardo Green. People are underestimating him. So to me, I think the 49ers have to draft a defensive lineman. If you look at the free agency, They didn't even look into getting defensive linemen. They grabbed some safeties, some defensive backs. So I feel like they've added some depth there. They may not be world beaters, but they're guys that I feel like they think could come in. Trey Brown is a guy. Pinnock is a guy that they can, maybe use as depth and also special teamers. So I don't think cornerback's the move. And I get it because it's probably the best available player at that point. But if 49ers don't take a defensive lineman in this draft and hit it as a home run, I will be upset. I'm sure most Niner fans will. I mean, look at the Rams last year. Their blueprint is what I think the 49ers are following. They lost Aaron Donald, and they replaced him with 2 unbelievable defensive linemen. And I think the 49ers want to do that.
So I'm sharing the screen on Mel Kiper's 2-round mock draft. Okay, so here it is. You can see it. He's got Cam Ward going 1. Can you see it, Raj?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so Cam Ward going 1 to the Titans. Travis Hunter, 2 to the Browns. Abdul Carter, 3 to the Giants. Will Campbell, 4 to the Pats. Mason Graham, 5 to the Jags. Raiders going running back with Genty at 6. Membu to the Jets at 7. Jalen Walker to the Panthers at 8. Shador Sanders, the third quarterback, or the second quarterback, I should say, going number 9 to the Saints. And then Tyler Warren going 10 to the Bears, which would leave the Niners with a choice of Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, Jedi Barron, the Thorpe Award winner, cornerback from Texas. Or you could go, Mike Green, if you wanted to go with an edge rusher. You could go with Matthew Golden if you wanted a receiver, Jihad Campbell for the inside backer. You could go tackle and Kelvin Banks, super athletic safety and Nick Emanwari, wide receiver in Teteroa McMillan. You got a lot of options here for sure. And then you go further down the list. I mean, we're in the 20s, the late 20s. This is the end of the first round ends right here after 32. They have Walter Nolan. Where's Walter Nolan on this thing?
He's like, I saw him. He's like 30 something. It's
39.
crazy.
They have Walter Nolan at 39 and Kenneth Grant at 43.
That's crazy.
Now, I would take Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant at 11. I really would. I have no problem with that. But I will say this. If this is the way, the one thing that I think Kiper is really good at, is like he's the best draft guru. Well, no, he's the original. But what I think he's really good at is this, like giving you a pretty good idea of where the guys are coming off the board in the first couple rounds. I think he's got a real good feel for that. So my guess is Kiper's got a pretty good feel. So if his feel, Raj, is that Kenneth Grant is going 43 and Walter Nolan's going 39, and I'm the 49ers and I've got a bunch of needs, I absolutely am looking to trade down from 11.
Yeah.
If this is how it goes, I'm looking to trade down from 11. Is there somebody that would make me not want to trade down from 11? Maybe Mason Graham, Armand Membu, and maybe Jalen Walker for me. I mean, obviously, I don't expect Abdul Carter to be there or Travis Hunter, but they would be on that list too. But assume Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, those forget that. But Mason Graham, Armand Membu, Jalen Walker, if those 3 guys are there at 11, I might just pick one of them. If those 3 guys are not there at 11, and I'm looking at Will Johnson, Jedi Barron, Mike Green, these guys, I think I'm trading down. I think I want to trade down. Even if I don't get an awesome deal to trade down, I think I want to trade down.
Yeah.
What do you think?
100%. I mean, if you know that, that's what I'm saying. Like the draft is so talented with those defensive lineman picks. Like you could even get Derek Harmon and then Josh Connerly if you do a trade, like, you know what I mean? With the way this board is set up. Now, one thing I'll say, I love Mel Kiper. He's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
At one point, he might have been the guy, but at some point, the Midas touch runs off. So I don't know if he's still as accurate as he once was. But, he does know, like, where players are typically going to be, for the most part. He just
talks to a lot of people.
Yeah, he talks to a lot of people, and he has good insight. But, he can't nail every pick, obviously. But he has good insight, But if this is really what the board is going to look like, 49ers would be crazy not to trade back if you're going to miss out on like some blue chippers. You can still get some really good talent. And you got to look at the 49ers. They have a lot of needs, Larry. Like, if you think about it, and we're going to talk about it, what are their needs? They do have a lot of needs. You were a 6-win team last year. Let's be honest with ourselves. You got to improve the D-line. You got to improve the offensive line. You need a safety. There's some holes there that they can utilize. Wide receiver, help with BA on the mend for a while. So if they traded back, I don't think it would be the worst thing. And I think they could get a guy like Derek Harmon or, hell, Walter Nolan, who they had a top 30 visit this week. Michael Williams, who they've had a top 30 visit with this week. There's quite a bit of talent. And the 49ers are, they're doing their due diligence. And if there's guys they really, really want and they know they could trade back, they'll do it. They've done it so many times through the years. But they just have to make sure it's the right guy, Larry, because they've traded back and they've also messed up, right, with Javon Kinlaw and stuff like that.
I'm trying to picture, Raj, like who would be the players that potentially teams would trade up for. And like if Shedeur Sanders does not go 9 to the Saints and he's on the board at 11, I could see the Steelers or one of those teams in the 20s saying, hey, I'd like to get up and take Shedeur. We'll trade up 10 spots. And I could see the Niners going back to 21 with the Steelers. Or let's just say the Raiders didn't take Ashton Genty. And Genty's on the board at 11. And you got the Cowboys who are almost assuredly going to go running back in this draft early. Maybe about to take, wanting to take Genty at 12. You could see a team that wants Genty, who's pretty damn special, jump in over the Cowboys and make a deal. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. If you said to me, how would I want to play this? I think I'd like to see the Niners. If they're going to pick a player there, I would still go for the big defensive tackles. I would go for Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant. And I don't care about draft value that much. I'd rather trade down from 11 to, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Like the Seahawks, I think, are another team. The Seahawks are really, really eager, it sounds like, to get an offensive lineman. Now, the Niners may be as well. But if you I don't believe in Kelvin Banks. I put out a tweet earlier today from Bob McGinn, who had an anonymous scout who just said, he's just a guy. He's just okay. He's big and everything, but he's not great. And that's what I see as well with Banks. I'm not a big Banks fan. But this mock draft Mel Kiper has, the tackles, there's always a run on tackles. Mm-hmm. And they have Seahawks taking Kelvin Banks at 18. Mm-hmm. I would trade back with the Seahawks and move from 11 to 18 and let them trade up and take Kelvin Banks at 11. Because if they really do want Kelvin Banks, think about it. The tackle before, the next best tackle is coming off the board at 7. So that's a long time to wait if you have the 18th pick for the next tackle in a first round where tackles are really coveted. And Banks was kind of a blue chipper at the beginning of the year. So I would move back and let the Seahawks move up for Banks and move into the 20s if I could. Now, and like right now, just based on this board, Raj, if you could not trade back based on this board, who is your pick at 11?
Man, if it's based on this board, oh man, it's tough. Like so much talent.
It is tough.
I'd probably go Walter Nolan, or honestly go back up real quick. I really like Nolan. I think he's a slam dunk pick at 11 because I feel like he could be that Quinnen Williams for Robert Saleh's defense. I would love that pick. Another guy I really like, Mike Green, because the 49ers do need an edge rusher. That guy's got some nasty explosiveness off the side. And we know Robert Saleh, he likes to have that, Cadillac type edge rusher on that line, if he's going to run that wide 9. So Mike Green is a guy I would really like. Walter Nolan. I think at this point, the 49ers, they've already told us, we talked about it last week, O-line's probably not going to be the pick in the first round. As much as most people want them to get an O-line, if that's the consensus, what the 49ers are thinking, you got to get a nasty defensive lineman because that D-line is thin, Larry.
If it was me, I think I'm going Kenneth Grant.
Okay.
I just think he's such the big-bodied guy. So now in this, the Niners are going with him at 43.
Okay.
And I know there might be some people that say, "Oh, that's a reach. It's a reach." I don't care. To me, Kenneth Grant, when you're 6'3", 330, and you're as athletic as that guy, yeah, he needs Chris Kasarik to kind of bring it out of him. But I really like Grant. I think he's a special player. I'm fine with Walter Nolan too. I'd be fine with Shamar Stewart from A&M because I watched him a lot this year, and he is so ridiculous as far as effort and size and speed. I mean, I know he didn't get a lot of sacks, but I'm telling you, the guy can play. He's not a bust.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of start blooming a little later, and I mean that combine was amazing, but also sometimes that combine could be a little misleading. They go all out because they want to get paid, and then they don't translate. But I do see a lot of traits in him that are really good, and people are comparing him to Myles Garrett, right? A cheaper version of Garrett. So
yeah, the good comparison might be Danielle Hunter, because Danielle Hunter only had 2 sacks his final year in college, and a lot of people, at LSU were like, "Oh man, how good is Danielle Hunter? He didn't have very much production this year, and look at Danielle Hunter, and look at the career he's had."
Good, yeah, he's had a good career.
I think Shamar Stewart is really, really special, but I would probably still go with the interior guy, Grant, because I just think Grant is so rare, and I do love Walter Nolan. I can't go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong.
Can't go wrong with those two. I love Grant. I watched a lot of his game this year. Obviously, big time plugger in the middle, but I like Walter Nolan. The only thing, and a lot of people have probably said it in the chat. They question his stamina. Can he be an every down lineman? Is he going to take plays off? I mean, that's a lot of young defensive tackles in the league. So, I mean, that's definitely something where probably why his draft stock's a little lower on that board. But I still think he's a top tier defensive tackle. You can't go wrong with either one of those guys. But I definitely think the 49ers have to nail the interior defensive line position because they don't really have a lot of depth, man. There's nothing there. If the 49ers go into this offseason with a thin defensive line, I don't know what they're going to do.
See, I think they ought to play this draft best player available, and I do believe they need to beef up the trenches. Mm-hmm. So I'm going Kenneth Grant at 11, even though this mock has him there at 43, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But now let's talk about who you want to pick at 43. So here's the Niners pick at 43, Kenneth Grant, and you're seeing all the guys that are available behind him. Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison, Tyler Booker, Darius Alexander, Shavon Revel, Quinshawn Judkins, Jack Betch, Nick Scorton, Mason Taylor, Isaiah Bond, Jalen Knoll, David Walker, Anthony Belton. There's a lot of good players there. Who would you want to take, since we both kind of went defensive tackle, even though you went Nolan, I went Grant, so we both went defensive tackle. What do you want to do here at 43?
I need to get an edge rusher. Again, I'm stacking that defensive line. I was so irritated with that defensive line last year. You really don't have anybody to help Nick Bosa. You need to get some speed off the edge. You need to get a guy that can go out there and rush the quarterback, So I'm going edge here. That's where I'm going to go out on this position. There's a lot, but the thing is about edge is there's probably going to be a run in this draft. Like you said earlier with like offensive lineman tackles, there's typically a point where one guy goes and then they're just like, it's like, oh my God. So the 49ers can't get too behind on taking edge rushers. And I think this is a premium position. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan many times have said it's hard to find a good pass rusher or edge rusher. I know they said that many times over the years. So I'm taking an edge at this position. So I'm going interior D-line and edge for my first 2 picks. Just really bolster that D-line, hammer it down. I mean, because again, you really are thin at the defensive line position. Your run defense was poor last year. You couldn't get to the quarterback last year. You need to improve that. That's where I'm going.
I love it. I love that idea. Now, I would say, okay, so you went Grant. I went Grant. You went Nolan in the first round. Okay, so edge rusher wise, I'm looking at the Niners at 43. Now I'm looking at the top of the second round here. Donovan Ezaraku, who would be a great edge rusher, he goes to Detroit at 28. So he's off the board. Mikael Williams goes to Green Bay at 23. He's off the board. James Pierce goes third, end of round 1 to the Eagles. So he's off the board. Those would all be good options.
That's good.
The guy that I think they want to go with this pick is right here. Olufemi Oladejo from UCLA. I'm pretty sure if he's on the board, he's their guy. I bet you anything he's their guy. But in this situation, he's off the board to the Titans at 35, which I think is really early for Oladejo. But it is what it is. That's where he's got him. Then you've got some of my favorite players in here. I love Luther Burden. I love Travion Henderson. I'll tell you what I think the Niners, what I would be deciding between here would be either one of these corners, Trey Amos or Benjamin Morrison. And man, I really love Morrison. He was terrific at Notre Dame. And he's going to work out, I think, before the draft. There's some questions because he had some injuries. But man, this is a really good football player who probably should have gone in the 20s if he's healthier. And then you also have Shavon Revel, and he's a terrific corner. I think he's a first-round pick corner. David Walker, the edge rusher from Central Arkansas, is intriguing. He's a little short. Yeah. But I'll tell you, in this mock, if I'm really going beef, I think in the way this is coming off the board, I think I'm going super beef because I think I'm going Kenneth Grant at 11, and I think I'm going Tyler Booker from Alabama at 47, at 43, I should say. On this thing, he's going 47, but I think I'm going Tyler Booker. Now, I know there are people that think that he doesn't fit the Niners system, but you know what? He's more of a power player than a zone blocker. But I mean, the Niners cannot run the ball up the middle, and it is a huge effing problem.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going away just because we all wish it to go away. You're going to have to invest in a bigger, better offensive line and some bigger, more powerful blockers. And this would be a big theme of this draft for me. I want this guy. I want Willie Lampkin on day 3.
Yeah.
And I've even decided, Raj, that I want Desmond Watson.
Okay.
The 464-pound nose guard from Florida. I want to go big time beef. At the end of this draft, I want everybody and their brother to know that the Niners went beef. Kenneth Grant, Tyler Booker, Willie Lampkin, and Desmond Watson. And, let's negate and defend and eradicate the Eagles tush push, and let's have our own damn tush push.
Do it. They're going to have the highest combined weight if they do that, Larry, if they add those guys. They need beef. You're right.
Booker's a road grader, man. He's different, man. He's really different. I was talking to Greg Papa when I was in Arizona, and Greg was at the Combine, and he was talking about how impressed he was with Tyler Booker, just watching him on the hoof, being there in the stadium. And he is. I mean, Alabama always has some good players, but this guy is like their best guy in probably 5 or 7 years. I mean, I think this – I know he doesn't have great movement skills. I know he didn't work out perfect. But this guy, you're going to be able to run the ball up the middle if you have Tyler Booker, Dom Pooney, Willie Lampkin. You're going to be able to uproot people and move and run the ball. And that's what I'm all about. The Niners will win 0 Super Bowls if they can't fix that one thing. You're not going to be able to, in a league where Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington, all of these Super Bowl contenders, all of them can run the ball. And you're going to somehow win the Super Bowl over all of them, and you can't. So come on, we're kidding ourselves. You have to get real. There's great backs in this draft. Go draft them, but set the groundwork with a big dominant guard like Booker. What do you think?
I love it. I would love Booker. I 100% agree. This offensive line is anemic. They need to improve it. We've talked about this several weeks in a row. 49ers, they're a run first team. And in order to be able to run, you need to be able to block. So I would love it. But the problem, not really a problem, but the reason I went edge here is just based off of what the tea leaves are telling us, right? With John Lynch and mainly Shanahan, how they really love who they have. Maybe they're blowing smoke up our ass, Larry. Like maybe it's smoke because they don't want us to know what their true draft plan is, which could be very, pretty on. Honestly, it could be the thing. The 49ers are not going to try and tell you everything they're going to go into this draft. So, yeah, it could be smoke. They're telling you, yeah, we love Jake Brendel. Oh, we love Colton McKivitz. They may love him, but they may also say, hey, they know they need to upgrade at this position. So 100% could be an offensive lineman. I just think the direction, the vibe I get is they're not going to get an offensive line early. I hope they do. I know most fans hope they do. I just see it's going to be an edge. I would love to have that pick, but I'm going to edge, and I would probably say like JT Timaloa. He's a pretty good edge. I feel like he would be a guy there. Now David Walker, again, nice stocky guy. Between the two, I'd be happy with any one of those guys because they absolutely just need to get to the quarterback. Last year was when Nick Bosa was gone. You had really nothing out there. I know Leonard Floyd stepped up a little bit here and there, but he wasn't what we all expected to come out and, be able to rush the passer. And he's gone, and right now you have like Drake Jackson, Robert Beal. Drake Jackson might not even play this year. Robert Beal has been very, very, poor so far in his limited time with the Niners. And other than that, maybe Charles O. He's a good rotational guy, but I don't expect him to be a 10-sack guy. And then Yetur Gross-Matos. That guy couldn't stay healthy last year. I'm not expecting much out of him. So give me an edge. Give me a defensive tackle in the first round. Fix this defensive line.
I got no problem with that. And they got a bunch of needs. So there is no like wrong answer, right? You know what I mean? It's like they got a bunch of needs. And how they fill their needs is going to be really interesting to watch in a couple of weeks. I am going to share the screen on this one video though, because I do think this is the one thing about the Niners, and we'll get into this right now, but look at this when you watch Booker. Here's a little Booker highlight reel. Okay, here he is, and he's the left guard. Now, here's the other thing. The Niners lost Aaron Banks. They really need a starter at left guard, right?
Yeah,
and see this guy circled right here?
Yes, sir.
That's the left guard. So, in a lot of ways, Tyler Booker could be a plug-and-play Niner right there at left guard. Now watch this film. Tell me what you see here.
Let's see it.
So he pulls around. He just destroys that guy.
Look at that. He's a monster. I see a hog molly beast.
Here he is.
Here we go.
Now look at this. He just buries that guy. Here we go. Look at this one, Raj. Just throw you down.
Throwing people. Throwing this one.
Look how much bigger.
Oh, man.
Wait, look how much. Oh, my God.
Woo, picked him up.
That was ridiculous, but we got to go back to that one. Look at this. Look at this.
Get off me, son.
Jesus, that's like blindside stuff. Now watch this one. At Tennessee.
Oh, my God.
Just a monster, man.
I've seen enough. Let's make him starting left guard.
Look at this. Look at that guy. Look at that. He just drove that guy down into the ground. Every guy that he's going against. Look at the arm length and the power. Nobody that have you noticed that nobody that he's going against is doing anything but crumbling into the ground?
They're just crumbling. But he's a top
highlight reel. It's a highlight.
He's good. It's a good highlight reel there. It's nice. Good.
I know.
And he's from Bama. Bama produces good talent,
Who is the gigantic Bama guy that went to Tennessee? Was it last year? Remember that? The gigantic Bama guard who was it Chance Warmack or something like that? Warmack.
The hell of a name.
This guy's way better. This guy's tough. He's strong. He's a horse. Look at that. I mean, he's just huge. Look at this guy's. That's a dominating 15-year NFL offense. Look at this one. Just look at you.
Ate him up.
You want to play football? You sure you want to play football? Look at that. Oh my God, that was violent. That was violent, by the way. Look at the way he shuts. Look at this guy's helmet when he hits the ground.
I know.
Watch this one, the Ole Miss defender. Who's this? Oh, I think it might be Jared Ivey.
God, get off me, son.
Jesus, he just buried somebody.
So if they draft him, Larry,
I'm just saying.
Like you said, I'm saying plug and play. I know they've kind of said Ben Barch is he takes Ben Barch's spot immediately.
Oh, Ben Barch. Ben Barch had a battle with Brendel.
I know.
So here's the question, Raj. And we've been talking a lot about the draft, and we've been focusing a lot outwardly on the prospects. But how about let's focus inwardly for a second? Let's take a look at the Niners depth chart for just a second. Because what do you view the number one need as. Because I know like right now, if they got to play today, let's take a look at the depth chart. Let me share the screen on the depth chart so the fans can check it out as well. This is the Niner depth chart. Okay, let's look at the offense first. Okay, special teams. I mean, I think it's safe to say Brant Boyer is changing things. They're bringing in guys. They're going to be better. They're bringing in a veteran kicker at the end of after the draft. I'm hoping he'll be Nick Folk. I already, just because of Boyer and what they've, the new focus, you got to think that's going to be upgraded. Okay, so let's just, for the sake of the conversation, we'll just assume, maybe we're wrong, but we'll assume the special teams could be dramatically upgraded. Okay, so now we're talking offense. What do you really need right now to start a season? You got Juszczyk at fullback. CMC, is he going to be ready for week 1? And if not, you got Garendo, Patrick Taylor, and Izzy Abanaconda. This, to me, is a major need area for the 49ers. We don't talk about it because you got CMC, and everybody's dreaming that CMC is just going to miraculously be the old CMC. But don't you have to – I think this is a draft because of the nature of this draft and the strengths of the draft at running back. You got to get 2 running backs.
Okay.
You got to get 2 backs. You really do. And I got there's backs all over this draft I love. Huge fan of RJ Harvey. I love the Michigan kid, Kalel Mullings. I love Travion and Quinshon from Ohio State. Love Kyle Monangai. Love Taj Brooks. There's a bunch of running backs. Love some of these guys on day 3, Montrell Johnson. So they need a running back, right? That's for sure. At quarterback, you got Brock, you got Mack, you got Tanner Mordecai. You could get a quarterback, but I think it's not really a pressing need. And like, if you liked a guy, like I like Peyton Thorne from Auburn, but he's a 7th round undrafted free agent guy. He's at the very end, you throw him in. So for all intents and purposes, you don't need a quarterback. Tight end, you got George, you have Luke Farrell in free agency, and then you got 3 receiving tight ends with varying degrees of upside. Braden Willis, Jake Tongas, and Mason Pline. I like Pline's upside potential, but he redshirted last year. Now he's going to be evaluated fully. Willis was drafted 2 years ago. They loved him. Tongas went to Cal. I think they need another tight end.
I agree.
For sure. So they need a running back, maybe 2. They need a tight end. And then on this offensive line, you have Trent Williams starting at left tackle. Obviously, he stays. You have Ben Barch at left guard or Spencer Burford. You have Brendel at center or Matt Hennessy or Drake Nugent. You have Dom Pooney at right guard, and you have Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I think you have to draft a starting left guard.
I agree.
I don't think you can. Ben Barch played for 9 seconds before he got hurt. And now you're just going to assume he's going to be healthy all year? He's a backup player. I like him. Good dude, tough guy, likable 49er. But you need a starting caliber left guard. And then receiver-wise, I think you need 2 receivers. I think you need somebody who could really take the top off the defense, somebody who could really run, and then you need a real receiver who can really catch and make plays and contribute. Like, they need a receiver that can help them right away, and then they need a receiver who potentially can be a go pattern day 3, home run hitter. But they have Hodgins, and they have, special teamer Trent Taylor, and they have little speedster Jacob Cowing. They like Tariq Owens. They signed DeMarcus Robinson. Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk are the starters. Ayuk's out probably at least half the year, I would think. We'll see. So I think you need a couple receivers. It's kind of tricky. I think you need a better receiver than maybe people think, because you need somebody who's ready to play right away. So left guard, a wide receiver who's ready to play, a running back who's ready to play, and a tight end. Would you pretty much agree? Or
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree. I mean,
how do you see the offense? Tell me what you
no,
think.
no, I agree. I mean, you don't need a backup. You don't need a quarterback, right? That's fine. Maybe you get a 7th-round pick, but Mordecai will be 3. Mac Jones is 2. Brock, right? That's fine. Running back, if CMC's healthy, we should be okay. But you still need another running. Like you still need at least.
They've used 4 running backs in like last 4 of the 6 years or something.
They go through running backs like crazy. Like as much as CMC's great, and even the year he had, the magnificent offensive player of the year, he still needed a backup. I mean, and still, like you just need to make sure you can preserve him. Let's get him through the season. Let's get him through the playoffs. Garendo's good, but you also need him to have a backup. You need handcuffs on this team. So 100%, you need at least one running back. Like you said, 2. I see 1 at least. I like Patrick Taylor. I think he's underrated, but you definitely need more depth on this team at running back because that's the position that just goes to shit every year. It's one of those. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So, and every year, 49ers. There's
a lot of contact there. There's a lot of collisions. I mean, these guys run hard.
Position. Yeah, running back's tough position. The 49ers do it at a high rate. Makes sense. You need position. You need a bulk at that position. And every year it seems like, okay, 49ers after a game, they're going to the waiver wire to pick up running back. So, yeah, definitely need a running back. Tight end, I like the addition of Luke Farrell because you need a blocking tight end. They've been trying to replace, that blocking type ability when, Charlie Warner was gone. So I get it. But those other guys, you called them receiving tight ends. I don't know how much they can receive. So I definitely think you need to upgrade that position. And George Kittle's not getting any younger. Now, we know he's probably going to get his extension some point this year, this offseason. But after he's all said and done, who's going to be the heir apparent? You need to get a guy that he could start molding and building for that. When that sad day comes, Larry, and he retires and goes to WWE and wrestles with Penta. So we need to get a tight end regardless because, hey, we also lost some receivers, right? Brandon Ayuk's on the mend. Debo's gone. You said you need a receiver. I think you can get a very good pass-catching tight end and implement him into this team, and that can be another receiving threat. So I don't think the 49ers need 2 receivers, just the way they handle their offense, but they do need a receiver because we don't know how long Ayuk's going to be out. And, when he comes back, what's he going to be? Demarcus Robinson, he's a decent player, but he's going to be suspended for a few games. And I like Ricky Pearsall. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Can Jacob Cowing take the leap? We all expect high things from Jennings, but you still need depth at the wide receiver spot. So maybe 1 receiver. And then let's get to the offensive line. The 49ers love Ben Bartch, so I don't see them replacing him anytime soon. But guard, 100% is up for grabs. And I think they need to get a quality starting guard to come in and just plug and play, just like they did last year with Dominic Pooney. If you can have 2 cornerstone guards on this team, I'd be ecstatic. Now, I would love to see them get an offensive tackle, but I just don't think that this is the year they're going to get a starting caliber tackle. Again, they like Colton McKivitz. He's given them decent – like he's not like great, but he gives them good value for his contract and everything. So I don't think they're getting rid of him anytime soon. Maybe next year. But again, you still need to develop a tackle because who knows how long Trent Williams is playing, right? We love Trent, but the one good thing about Jalen Moore on this team when he was here, he was a pretty good swing tackle. He could come in. He played pretty well for Trent Williams when he was down and out. So they still need to get a tackle, but I don't think it's going to be a starting. It's going to be a swing tackle. So they definitely need to go and get a guy that could come in and be that swing tackle type player. So that's kind of the way I see it. I definitely think they need a running back 100%, but they'll get one.
They got to have a running. I would say they got to have 2 running backs. And I think they need 2 receivers. I mean, if I say, let's talk receiver first. Somebody in the chat said Niners are going to take Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
Emeka Egbuka is really, really polished. And I would understand if the Niners would draft him. Why? Because he's very polished. He's ready to go, and they need a receiver that's ready to contribute. Yeah, so Egbuka makes sense to me. I'll tell you the 2 guys, though, that I've watched. There are really 3 guys. There's to me, it's that core that's between 75 and 150 that I really like. Jalen Royals from Utah State. Okay. The more I watch Jalen Royals from Utah State, the more I really like him. The guy, Ty Felton from Maryland, the more I watch Ty Felton, he's really fast, really explosive, very productive. But the guy who's just monster. And when I watch him, I think, there's 3 levels of prospects. You watch the guy and you're like, and that's most guys, right? You think he's all right, but he's all right. Then there's the, hey, I kind of like that guy. And then there's the, I got to have that guy on the Niners. And to me, the receiver that when I watch him, I'm always like, let's go back and do some mock drafts because I got to figure out a way that the Niners can get that guy. And it's Savion Williams from TCU.
Yeah.
He's just a freaking 6'4", 225-pound, just menace. I mean, this guy is what Kyle Shanahan was dreaming Jalen Hurd to be.
Yeah.
Right? This is the player they wanted Jalen Hurd to be. 6'4", 225, put him in the slot, give him an end around, direct snap it to him on the goal line. He was a quarterback in high school. He's been a Wildcat quarterback on the goal line for TCU. He played opposite Jack Betch for TCU. He's 6'4", 225, and just dangerous. And with the ball in his hands, he's just violent. I love Savion Williams. If I could have one receiver in this draft, he doesn't run the burning 40 time, but that would be the guy. That would be the guy. And they list him here at 96 overall. Woo! So you'd have to take him in the third round, but they do have multiple third-round picks. Savion Williams from TCU. That would be my receiver. I'm going to the local pro day tomorrow, and Alec Ayamanor from Stanford and Nick Nash from San Jose State. I expect both those guys. I think they're both going to be there. I don't know if they're going to work out, but I think they're both going to be there. And I know there's a lot of Niner fans that are saying, hey, grab one of those local guys, but I love Jalen Royals, and there's other guys too. I mean, Isaiah Bond, and to me, the Jaden Noel is really special. And there's a bunch of guys. I mean, late in the draft, I love Zachary Franklin from Illinois, and Jordan Watkins from Ole Miss. But if I was just trying to look for one receiver, give me Savion Williams, TCU. Who's the one receiver that you like?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. You like Savion Williams? That's my guy. Savion Williams is like the guy. We've said it before on this show a couple times. Savion's the guy. The reason I like him is because he has that versatility. Like you said, he's got that Jalen Hurd factor that Kyle's always been looking for. Kyle likes guys that could do a lot, and he can do a lot. The only thing is, can he block? And I feel like Kyle's going to really want to make sure he could block. So whoever they get has to be able to block. But I love this guy's upside. I love Savion Williams. I love Nick Nash, actually. That's a guy, local guy. If they can get Nick Nash, he was a heck of a player. I watched him play live a couple times just because I live, right up the street. So I watched him play 2 games. I watched him play against Boise State when they played Ashton Genty. That was a fun game, I'll tell you that. And then I watched another game. I can't remember the second game they played, but it was UNLV, my alma mater. And it was a hell of a game. And I'll tell you what, man, Nick Nash, he's got some talent. I would love to get Nick Nash. Local guy. You got to have love for the local kids, and he's fun. So those guys would be cool. But I mean, Savion has a real chance to be a top-tier talent. On the 49ers offense, he fits so good. Fits like a glove on this offense. So, yeah, it'd be fun to have him.
Niners are going to get 2 running backs. Shanahan basically said, hey, I like to take a running back every year. It's a phenomenal draft for running backs. They're probably going to draft one and sign one. Give me 2 running backs in this draft that you like. Now, I just saw an article yesterday from Fox Sports, big article saying, oh, man, Cam Scatterbo to the Niners, Scatterbo to the Niners. Yeah. And I love the story, but people are saying in the 3rd round, Cam Scatterbo is nowhere close to Travion Henderson. He's nowhere close to Quinshon Judkins. He's nowhere close to Dylan Sampson. He's nowhere close to DJ Giddens. I like him, but he's a great story, and I wouldn't mind having him, but he's a day 3 guy for me, and probably a second half of day 3 guy. That's not my first choice at running back. If I can have 2 running backs in this draft, and I love them all. I mean, there's tons that I love. I really do love them all. But I would go if it was me. I would go, and I love so many of them, but I love
Yeah.
RJ Harvey from Central Florida, who's 5'8", like 210, and he runs 4.4 flat, and he's super tough. I love RJ Harvey. Love RJ Harvey. I think he's one of my favorite players in the whole draft. And then on day 3, I love Taj Brooks, who's 5'9", about 220 pounds. And he's a great blocker. He's like maybe one of the best blockers there is. I could see the Niners putting games away with Taj Brooks. And if you had Taj Brooks, CMC, and RJ Harvey, I think you could pretty much get by without Ayuk by just having a heavy dose of the run game.
Yeah.
Is there a running back? Give me a running back or two that you like.
Yeah, a couple of them. So real quick, touching on Cam Scatterbo, I love the guy. He's like a good football player. You know, he's gonna be one of those guys. You're like, he's a football dude. He gets on the right team. He'll be a vibe. You know, but I see him as a day 3 also. But people are saying day 2 pick. I don't think he's a day 2 pick. He doesn't have the breakaway speed. So to me, he's more of like Mike Allstott. If you played back in those days, I mean, Cam Scatterbo would have been a world beater in those days. I think he'll still be a fun player, a good player, but I would like to get Trevor Etienne out of Georgia. That's my running back. He's got a little bit of everything. He's got the bloodlines in the NFL. I love Etienne. That's my guy. If I got to go one running back in this draft, give me Trevor Etienne. He's got a little bit.
It's funny you said that. It's funny you said that because we had Eugene Asante from Auburn on last week, and I saw in an interview that he did. He was asked that question. Give me a running back that you really think is good, and he said Etienne from Georgia. And there's no question, there's a quickness and explosive factor about Etienne that makes you think next level. He's got a little bit of Tyreek Hill as far as he's just explosive and quick, really quick. Let's hit some supers, and then we got a little surprise here at the end. Silent says, sick of the O-line who can move, but can't move others. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We like guys who can move. Yeah, how about let's move them to the Browns for a 5th-round pick? There's a move. Thomas Selman, good evening. I love both Campbell and Walker at linebacker and Barron at corner, but I think we need defensive tackle in round 1. Thoughts on ridiculous Purdy Geno comps? I mean, Purdy's beaten Geno, 5 out of 6, whatever. Yeah. I don't hate Geno. Heck, Geno beat the Niners last year at Levi's. The Niners were totally gassed, but I mean, come on. I mean, I think Purdy's a much better quarterback than Geno. I really do.
The one time Geno beat Purdy, he hit that night. He had to hit him with the knife. Like, come on, you beat us one time and like 6 times, and you sitting there pretending.
Antonio Sosa says, "Hi, Larry. Just a reminder, we spoke earlier today. In fact, Antonio Sosa, we're going to take a couple calls before we get out of here, Raj, tonight. We're going to add Antonio Sosa to the mix here as well. Antonio, wait, hold on a second. Maybe I can do this. Hey, Antonio." Antonio, hey, doing, wanted to call in tonight. He wanted to say hello to you, Raj. I know you're a big, Raj is a pretty big celeb. But Antonio, thanks for jumping on the Kreuger show. Tell us a little bit about what you want to talk about.
Well, I've been thinking about the 49ers at pick 11. A lot of the points you made, Larry, I mean, we've spoken are right on point. Both of you guys, the 49ers right now, they kind of box themselves into kind of the need of really going after a defensive tackle. I really would like to see them. I think they're in position where they really have to consider getting a 1 or 3 technique, like solid body in the middle of that run-stopping defense. Going back to your point earlier, Larry, they really need to do something about stopping the run game in between the tackles. And with all the guys they've let go and just the way the defensive line has kind of trended in the opposite direction from where the standard was set a couple of years ago, it just looks like they kind of boxed themselves in to go that route. And that historically they've gone, their philosophy, as Kyle and John said, that they even when Mike Shanahan spoke about his first round philosophy, it was go offensive line, go defensive line. I also agree with you with the fact that I think they should go best player available, because I think that they haven't had the best success rate in the first round. Of course, the belly of the draft is where they've really made their most valued picks, and even below that. But there's a couple. I heard today something about which is something Matt Mayoko has been talking about. But I heard something today about them, which is the first time I've heard this with this draft, of them trying to maybe move up. There's a lot of talk about the tight end. My personal player, who's the top player in this draft, is Travis Hunter. And before I even did any coverage on the draft or even looked at it, I thought, well, the Niners should just trade up so they don't mess up this first pick and just get Travis Hunter. But I just don't see that happening right now.
Well, that's an interesting concept. I had that same thought yesterday watching the Kuiper Field Yates mock. They think Travis Hunter, guys, could fall to 4.
Yes.
New England, I think, badly wants to take a tackle, but they don't want to take Campbell there. They want more value.
Right.
I could see the 49ers in New England. Now, I don't think the 49ers want to trade tons of picks. So that's that. I don't see some bonanza picks going to New England. But if the price were right, I could see the 49ers trading up. I mean, look at it this way. Robert Saleh, when he was in New York, had Sauce Gardner, and he probably saw the value of a big, dominant, young, number one, shut you down kind of a corner. What do the Niners need right now? They have really a bunch of needs, but one of the needs is they have a major need, I think, at corner because Mooney Ward's not there, because Trey Brown, I don't believe in. So you got Demo, you got Renardo, and I agree with Raj. Renardo was supposed to be the replacement for Mooney, but now that Trey Brown's been brought in, and you go with, if you're going to go 3 wides against the Niners, Trey Brown's going to be a starter. I would love it if they had a dominant corner. That's what Hunter is. And then receiver wise, what do the Niners really need? They need Travis Hunter. They need an explosive down the field. Yeah. They don't need a chain mover. They need a difference maker with 3 wides. Speed. Yeah, they need that. Yeah. And he's that. He really is both the dominant number one corner that they haven't had since Dion in the 90s, and he's that speedster wide receiver. Yes. What do you think, Raj?
I mean, Travis Henry's a hell of a player, but and I get it. You get 2 guys.
Travis Hunter.
One. Yeah, sorry, Travis Hunter. Yeah, Travis Hunter. My bad. Yeah, Travis Hunter. No, I know. I said the wrong name. Yeah, no, he's unbelievable. I mean, Heisman Trophy winner. We know the talent, the accolades, everything. I don't think the Niners are going to trade. That's crazy to me. I just feel like it's not something Niners are looking into, because they have so many needs right now that I don't think that you make the move to go and throw away your defensive line, because I feel like the 49ers have to really build. This team is always built through the trenches, right? I love him. Great player. But at the same time, you also have to question, can he play both sides in the NFL? Niners get so many injuries. Could you imagine you get him and then he's cooked, and then you're missing a CB, you're missing a wide receiver in one play? I love it. I like the aggressiveness. I think it's a cool idea. I just want to be safer, because the 49ers cannot gamble this. I love him. I think he's a fantastic player. But
I'll tell you what.
I need as many draft picks as I can get this year. I want as many draft picks.
That's the thing. I mean, that's where they put I hear what Raj is saying. Trading up, in a way, is the safer pick, because you're getting the more for sure player. But there's doubts about every player, even the guy who's going to go 1-1 in every draft. So, you can't avoid it, and there's risk everywhere. I think I agree with Raj. Even, push comes to shove. Do I like Travis Hunter? Hell yeah, I like Travis Hunter. Yeah. But I think the smarter play is to trade back into the teens or 20s, gather a couple more picks, go with that defensive tackle, and then see if you can come back in round 2 with a great corner or a great offensive lineman offensive line prospect that you like. I love Booker. To me, he's a slam dunk if he's there. And go that route and see if I could fill some of the other holes. Because to me, I want as many day 2, round 3 picks as possible. If I could turn if I could turn their number 1 into a late number 1, but multiple picks in the third round to go with the 2 picks they already have in the third round, I think that's the way you go. If you can trade down, wind up with 4 picks in the third round, I think that's what's going to give you the best result in this draft. Antonio, we got to jump because we've got Terradome in the green room, but good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in.
All right, take care, guys.
There you go, Antonio. And Terradome is in the green room as well. Terradome, good to see you.
Good to see
talked
you
to in a while. What's up, man?
It's
How
been
are
a
you?
while, man.
You know
I've been
Raj,
on,
right? You guys know
I've
each
been
other.
on more. I know Raj. Hey, Raj, what you doing, man? Looking all official. Got the logo behind you. Look like you just put some kiwi polish on that thing. It's shining. It's like you Rob Liberace there, man.
You know,
Hey, Larry, man, we've been mocking. My show is on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning, man, over here on the East Coast. I know it's rough for you guys on the West Coast to get up that early. But
we're just, hey, you kidding me? We're just pulling in from the long night at the club at that point.
Getting from the club. Larry, you're lazy, Larry. That's the problem.
Lazy. I love you, Larry, but you're fucking lazy, boy.
I love you, but you're lazy. You just can't stay high from that club, man. Hey,
so Terradome, who do you want at 11, man? Who do you want? If it came right down to it, who do you want at 11?
I would love Armand Membo, or give me a good hard stuffing inside defensive interior guy, somebody that just brings the noise. I want that. That's what we're looking for here. We got to have that this time. Like, we got to get in the trenches. Don't look at the pretty sunroof. Don't look at the sound system. Don't look at anything else. We got to be down in the trenches with the defensive line as well as our offensive line. We got to get thick, and we got to get mean, and we got to get nasty. Now, here's a little bit of the shuffling that's got to go on. We're going to have my best mock draft, and I've done about 10 of them, involve me trading back in rounds 2 and in rounds 4 and picking up multiple picks. And this is the plan here. I got Armand Membo at 11, traded back and picked up Jared Ivey as a defensive end. I picked up Alfred Collins as a defensive end. Got one of my personal crushes, Andrew Makuba. Is going to be that safety that will bring back the Deshaun Golson, Dante Hittner days back to the San Francisco 49ers. I love Harold Fanning Jr. out of Bowling Green, and J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to be well represented on this straight. You're going to hear Ole Miss more than when they was whistling Dixie as they were taking Fort Sumter, South Carolina. Y'all mentioned Nick Nash. I like Nick Nash, San Jose State. And one of your personal favorites, Larry, Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. The kid don't fumble the ball. The kid.
He could be hit by a car and he wouldn't fall down. I mean, this is one of the greatest contact balance running backs I've ever seen. He's amazing.
I love him.
He's a great kid too. He's a great kid.
And he's a Rutgers guy, so he's got some toughness with him. Teddy Buchanan out of Cal. I'm hoping to. He looked like Fred Warner. He cut his hair. I saw.
He does look like
somebody
Fred Warner.
interviewed him recently. I think it was Brad.
Brad.
Brad interviewed him. I said, "Hey, he looked like Fred Warner in stature."
He's a St. Ignatius Wildcat. He went to my high school. Go Cats, get them Cats. Go get them Cats.
There you go, man.
He's good stock, man. Good comes from good stock.
Another little personal crush I'm crushing on, O'Donnell Fortune out of South Carolina, cornerback. Larry, when you check him out on film, think Richard Sherman.
I love that program.
Think Richard. We don't go wrong with South Carolina guys. I know it got a little hanky there with Kinlaw, but South Carolina, man. I'm down here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, and I see the South Carolina kids, man. They're different down here.
Demetrius Knight. I love Demetrius Knight, Kyle Kennard. I mean, they got dudes. TJ Sanders. I mean, man.
It goes back to Sterling Sharp, Shannon Sharp's older brother. It goes Sharp, way back, man. He was
the better Sharp.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's when Sterling Sharp has that speech. Raj, I don't know if you saw that. Did you ever see that speech where he said, "My brother was better than me"?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know what? It's total respect for Sterling or for Shannon, because you're the guy who went to the Hall of Fame. But you know what? He's right. His brother literally was better. And I know it's situational.
Larry and I are the same age, and we were in college right about the same time when Sterling Sharp was wearing that number 2 at South Carolina in high school, man. And he was we would jump up and we was like, he's sweet. Look at him. He's sweet. He used to be on these commercials and stuff. And then when he went to Green Bay, it was him and Jerry Rice.
Yeah,
really battling out for wide receiver supremacy. He was really something, Raj.
So good. Here's a mock that I did the other day, just to give you an idea.
Talk to me.
What I'm thinking. This is the way I would love it. If it came off like this, I'd love it. Walter Nolan. These are my first 6 picks, or first 7 picks. First 7 picks. Walter Nolan.
Okay.
Olufemi Oladejo.
Okay.
Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle, Florida State.
I just picked him today.
Yeah. Savion Jones, edge rusher, LSU. Love him. Yeah. Aeneas Peebles, pass rusher extraordinaire. Vatek, but he can play anywhere. And then at 138, I took Jordan Phillips, gigantic defensive tackle from Maryland. So now I've got this big defensive lineman. Then at day 2 or day 3, I went Eugene Asante, Chandler Martin, Elijah Roberts, Davin Van.
Stop right there. Stop right there, Larry. Stop.
Yep.
This Elijah Roberts is going to be the steal of the draft. Yeah. I don't know why everybody's passing this kid up, but when I look at that film, at his height, his weight, he's already developed with his hands, Larry. I'm real excited about this Elijah Roberts, but I can't think he should be
4th round pick
listed up top. He's really, really good.
Well, remember this one too. Another one in your neck of the woods, Davin Van from NC State.
Okay.
He's got a wrestling background. He's a defensive end, but he's 280 pounds. He's kind of a defensive tackle, defensive end, NASCAR package. He's really good. And then I'm finishing with sleeper offensive linemen. I'm going Caleb Etienne, BYU, Willie Lampkin, North Carolina, who you know how much I love Willie Lampkin. Miles Hinton from Michigan, former Stanford player. And then with the last pick in the draft,
who you got
for the Niners at pick 252, the anti-tush push, Desmond Watson.
You going with
from Florida. He's 464. But Pterodome and Raj, this guy had 36 reps of 225. You don't get 36 reps of 225 because you're fat. You don't.
Yes,
I've seen a lot of fat guys. This guy's got strength. Yeah, this guy's got power. This guy's got athleticism. If the Niners are going to defeat the Eagles and get back to the Super Bowl, they can't lean on the NFL to cancel the tush push. The Niners' biggest problem right now is really at the point of attack. They can't get any push at the point of attack in the run game. They can't stop anybody at the point of attack on the defensive side. Go get Watson and at least put him out there on the tush push and use him on your own tush push. And you know what? Let's be honest about this. The tush push is not strategy. The tush push is not innovation. The tush push is caveman shit.
Yeah.
And the only way to defeat caveman tactics is with caveman tactics.
Fire with fire, Larry.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
Larry,
you got a big fat offensive line.
If they would have tried it back in my day, I tell you what, you run that one time. I played middle linebacker. You run it one time. I bet you won't run it again when I come. But I mean, we had a way of handling stuff back then, Raj.
We've seen it all. We've seen Fred Warner try to time his leap. That's not going to work, and it's just going to give Fred Warner a concussion. Okay.
All I say is that quarterback is a runner. That quarterback, he is not a defenseless guy. I would fix that real quick.
Use him as a center on short yardage and tush push. Use him as a fullback. Use him as I don't care what you want to call him. He's force. He's mass force. Cam Jurgens is 305 pounds. He's the center for the Eagles. Before that, they had Jason Kelsey. He's like 310 pounds. But then you have Landon Dickerson at left guard, who's 335, and you had Mekhi Becton at 360 at right guard. There's no way you're going to stop that unless you have a bigger guy. And so you draft Kenneth Grant, you draft Willie Lampkin, and on the last pick of the draft, you draft Desmond Watson, and you line these guys up, and you say, no, Jalen Hurts, there'll be no tush push today.
They didn't do this back in my day, Raj. You tried it one time, and they said, "Hey guys, we can't have our quarterback out there with his head up forward." And that linebacker, that guy's got problems. Yeah,
Terradome, we got to jump, but good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Larry. Check me out Tuesday mornings, Terradome, 10 o'clock Eastern. And sometimes I jump over my boy Wolfie on at noon, and we just chop it up, man. Good to see you. Good to see you, Raj, man, with your shiny logo. I see you, man.
I see you, Terradome. Good to see you. One last super here, Alex Grolon. My guys, Raj and Larry, my favorite show of the week. What do you guys think of Billy Bowman Jr.? He could be a steal in the mid to later rounds. Keep it up, guys. He's talking about Billy Bowman Jr. is the safety, I believe, Raj, from Oklahoma. And he's short. He's 5'10", but he is a hitter, and he's got coverage ability, and he's kind of electric. You know what I mean? He's Billy Bowman Jr. He's from Denton, Texas, outside of Dallas. Have you heard of him at all?
I'm looking him up right now. 22 out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, he wears number 2.
Pretty good. He's got some good stats here. I'm looking at some highlights. Just searched him up. He's been
Billy Bowman,
first team All Big 12 last year. So a little undersized, 5'10", 192, but he looks like he has some talent there.
He makes big plays. 9 interceptions over 22 and 23 seasons. He led the country with 249 interception return yards. And he tied gigantic bug beetle. Jesus, thing had its own zip code. Just flew at me. Jesus, I mean, I may have called security for that. I may have get taken down. That was a gigantic moth.
Security.
This guy tied for the national lead with 3 pick sixes in between 22 and 23. Yeah, Billy Bowman. I'll have to go check him out. He's short, but he's a player, man. He is a big-time player. That would be a great one. I love that. That's a fantastic comment.
We need playmakers. We need guys that can get the ball, cause turnovers. If that's the guy, this team desperately needs playmakers on defense. Last year, they couldn't make a damn play to save their life. So
playmakers, defense, playmakers, offense. How about both? Ned Stone says, hey, here you go. Thank you, Ned. And Silence is realistic worst-case scenario draft. Worst-case scenario. That's an interesting concept.
Worst-case scenario draft.
What's a worst-case scenario? How do you even do that, Raj?
Kicker third round.
What's a worst-case scenario?
Worst-case scenario.
I don't even know how to answer that.
They draft a kicker, Larry. That's worst-case scenario. You'd take a kicker. You take players that you don't need. That's worst case scenario. I hope they don't pick players.
Okay, and I get a worst case scenario.
Okay.
The Niners take Shedeur Sanders and start a gigantic quarterback battle between Purdy and Sanders. That would be the worst pick. Would you agree?
Absolutely. What would you do that for?
That would be the worst pick.
Yeah. What would you do it for?
If somehow they took Shedeur Sanders.
The 49ers, you never know.
I know, seriously. I don't want Shedeur Sanders. I don't want a quarterback. I also don't want anybody coming off a major injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Don't draft players that are coming off injury because we need players that can come in and play this year. We don't need projects. We do not have the luxury to draft people that have that. Oh, maybe we can develop it. Maybe he could come back and be a redshirt Not this year. No red shirts.
No, it's not going to be like, hey, you know what? He looked great, but yeah, he's out for the year. It's a tough break, but man, we'll get him next year. No,
Yeah.
no,
You know,
no, 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 and no. I mean,
you
it
know
could
what?
happen to anybody, but
There's another guy who people love, and he's a great player. This is a player at 11. If they take Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State, I think that's worst case scenario too. Like,
you don't like him?
No, I'm not saying I don't like. I love him, but if you take a tight end over all these players that we just talked about tonight, defensive tackle, cornerback, offensive lineman, I think
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. If the Niners take Gray Zabel, saying, you know what? He can play center, he can play guard, he can play tackle. If they take Gray Zabel because of his offensive line versatility,
they're not drafting another offensive line.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
Yeah.
Would you agree? That would be bad.
What they'll do is, he's one player that can do all of it. We don't need to take any more offensive linemen. And then they're just going to overlook the O-line. I agree with that 100%. That's a good take.
I don't want Mikael Williams, though, just because I just don't. He looks the part, but I watch Georgia every week, and I swear to you, I rarely saw that guy make plays. I mean, I saw Jalen Walker make plays. I saw several of their other players make plays. I don't remember Mikael Williams making any plays. So I guess I'd have to say no.
He was good because he had a lot of people around him, right? You take away that talent, is he going to be a top-tier guy on an NFL team? And I agree with that, because I know Mike Garofalo today, and then yesterday it was reported, I can't remember who made the report, but it was reported that Mikael Williams was visiting the Niners for a top 30. He's going around the NFC West tour. Like, he's touring everybody in the NFC West. I hope one of the other teams take him, because I agree with you. I don't think he's good enough for what the 49ers need.
Yeah. I guess that's really it as far as the players that I don't want him to take. I mean, I'm not a big Kelvin Banks fan. Because I don't see special there at all with Kelvin Banks. So that would probably be the one.
You don't think
offensive? I like Membu and I like Campbell. I like Josh Simmons. I like Ursery. I like Anthony Belton, Emory Jones, Holland Pierce, Logan Brown, Caleb Rogers, Miles Hinton, Esapole, Carson Vincent. I like several of the tackles, Caleb Etienne. I just don't love Kelvin Banks, especially at 11.
Do you so if they took
I'd rather go defensive line than Kelvin Banks.
Okay. If you had the choice, you'd take a defense tackle over Kelvin Banks. Now let me ask you this question. Because Kelvin Banks is definitely a possibility. If they took him, will you think that's an upgrade over Colton McKivitz? Because if you take a tackle in the first round, you need a guy that's better than Colton McKivitz. That's the bottom line.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing about that. That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen? Like, Kelvin Banks, I think, is a right tackle.
Okay.
But are they going to play him at right tackle, or would he play left guard? I mean, in reality, that's why I really love the idea of going with Tyler Booker, because the 49ers need to find somebody who can play left guard. And like Donovan Jackson played right guard at Ohio State. And then when Simmons got hurt, they moved him to left tackle. And I really like him. He's 6'4", he's 300 pounds. He's probably going to be a second round pick. He wouldn't be a bad choice either. At least he's got experience at left tackle and right guard. But what the Niners really need is they need a left guard. And Tyler Booker played his career at left guard. He's got long arms. He's 6'5", he's 330. I think I'd like to get, Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan in round 1 and have them start like week 1. And I'd love to take Tyler Booker or Donovan Jackson in round 2 and have them start at left guard with, and it's okay with me if Booker never moves to tackle, because I think he's more of a guard. I'm okay with it in round 2, not as much in round 1. And then, so I would draft Booker or Jackson and start them at left guard. And then I would, the other guy I kind of like is Charles Grant from William and Mary, but he's a little bit more of a projection, Raj. I mean, he's 6'4", he's 280. He's got to put on some weight. They love the long arms and the projectable frame, but this guy's going from William and Mary to the NFL.
Don't
that's
but
hard.
you're right.
That's a hard step. I mean, that's a hard. It's no big deal. I mean, I think like there are developmental guys from small schools, but they generally need a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the big thing is, and you got to realize the 49ers like who they have on the line. So if they draft someone, they have to be able to come in at starter. I don't think a lot of these tackles in this draft are going to take Colton McKivitt's spot. And then if they're better than Colton, where the hell is Colton going to go? Is he going to line up at guard? He had to play guard his West Virginia days 4 years ago. So like, I don't see that being the move. Now maybe he'd be in the competition with Ben Barch and Spencer Burford, and then Spencer could be a swing tackle or whatever. So whoever they draft, and Niner fans across the world want them to take a tackle, but you have to ask yourself, if they draft a tackle, they're not taking Trent Williams' spot. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, but it's up to Colton McKivitz. The Niners like him. They're not drafting the guy to replace Colton McKivitz. So I think the big aha moment, the light bulb that's off my head tonight, doing this with you today and talking, the big starting position they're drafting at offensive line is going to be guard. 100% it's got to be left guard, because they're not moving McKivitz. They paid him last year. They like him. He's a valuable guy. I mean, he's an upgrade over McGlinchey, but he's definitely not an elite tackle, but he's good enough for their system. So
let me tell you who I think they're going with. If this is a guess, it's a guess, but I would say if the Niners were looking for a left guard, I think they will look to Tyler Booker or Donovan Jackson or Charles Grant in day two. You know, I could see one of those three guys being a 49er on day two: Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson, Charles Grant. Yeah. If by chance they don't go offensive line on day one or day two, the guy that I would say look for them to grab on day three is a guy that they worked out from LSU named Miles Frazier. He's 6'5". He's 325 pounds. The attractive part about Frazier, you know, he's a fifth-year senior. He went to Milford Academy. It started at Florida International, transferred to LSU. You know, good player. 3-year starter on the offensive line at LSU. Spent 2 seasons at Florida International. The reason I think he would be so attractive to them, Raj, is that Miles Frazier has, you know, the arm length to play tackle at 6'5", 325. He's also logged reps at right tackle, right guard, and left guard. So I really think he's a guy that they would have a lot of interest in on day three as an offensive lineman that they could get as a backup who can play both tackle spots and both guard spots. So remember that name, Miles Frazier.
Miles Frazier. I'll remember that name. I like it. And I guess my final thought here is, so we're talking about guard, and I know, like I said, Ben Barch is probably right. If the season started right now, he's your starting left guard. But it's not that I don't like him. It's just I don't know if he can stay healthy. This guy's problem, and you mentioned it earlier, he played maybe like 9 minutes this season. Like you can't bank on players that have injury history, and that's unfortunate that he has injury history. He's a good talent, but I need guys that can play, start, but also a rookie coming in might hit the wall. So you got to have a guy like Barch who can play maybe this year. Now, if another guy surpasses him, you're going to have Barch in your backhand because, hey, maybe that rookie doesn't make it through the whole year. So regardless, they need depth, they need guys, they need bodies, because we talked about the D-line being thin. Offensive line is pretty thin too, Larry. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
and they've looked at a lot of offensive linemen, so I don't think they're running from it. But I totally agree with you, Raj. Barch is fine if the Niners had, you know, Trent Williams at left tackle, a Trent Williams dominating type right tackle, Pooney at right guard, and some big behemoth monster center, right? Let's just say they had 4/5 of a really nails, powerful, young, explosive offensive line. Mm-hmm. Then you could throw a Ben Barch at left guard and in a mix and kind of cross your fingers. But when you're a little unsure about your center and you're a little unsure about your left guard and your right guard's a second-year player and your right tackle is, you know, you're a little nervous about him and you're a little nervous about your left tackle because of the age, I think it's time for the 49ers to draft a undeniable, you know, force of nature. And Tyler Booker is that. Donovan Jackson is that. They're big, they're powerful, they're long arm guys. They're They're not, smaller guys just trying to make do. They're guys who you're going to be able to run the ball inside the 5 if you have Pooney and Booker at guard. I really believe it. And I think that's a major part of this offseason is you can't have nothing on the line of scrimmage. You got to be able to run the ball. Philly can do it. Baltimore can do it. All these teams can do it. The Niners have to be able to do it, or they're not going to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of our callers. Thanks to all of you who participated via the Supers. Thanks to LearnKey. The links are in the description for all the sponsors. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Raj, what do you got cooking the rest of the week?
Same old. I got a lot of work stuff this week that I got to catch up with. So, tomorrow's the local pro day. You're going to be at that. So I'll be at that. I'll see what everybody's posting about that. What time? What time is it?
I think it might be at 11 or 12. I think we have to meet, and then maybe the practice is at 1. Okay. So it's like I'm going to go down in the mid-morning, and I think do some videos down there. And yeah, local pro day. I'm looking forward to see who's out there. Sometimes it's fruitful and there's really interesting prospects. We talked to Tariq Owens in the past, and there have been some guys. You never know. Maybe we'll maybe we'll talk to Nick Nash. Maybe we'll talk to Alec Ayamanor. I'm hoping Noel Williams from Cal is there. Teddy Buchanan from Cal, I expect to be there. So Teddy Buchanan's the guy that I'm going to try to get the interview with. So we'll see if we can talk to Teddy tomorrow.
See it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep. All right. For Raj, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Kreuger Show. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Can't